The internet is an incredible place. Just recently, we were speaking about that trend where people were looking back at 2016. And most of us don't have pictures from 2016 on our current devices, right? So we go on our social media platforms, on Facebook or wherever you have posted those memories, and you can still uncover those things till today. And that's why they say the internet doesn't forget. But it's not just those things it doesn't forget. It also doesn't forget some of the things that you might have been accused of. Sometimes when people go to like Miss SA competitions, big pageants, and people remember, hey, didn't you say, really problematic or racist things 10 years ago on the internet? So sometimes being publicly linked to big accusations can change a life, even when a person is cleared of all wrongdoing. Headlines can fade, but the association often lingers with you. It quietly affects your relationships, your opportunities, and how people are seen in their community. So beyond the social perception, the systems they navigate, from digital records and background checks to institutions and professional networks, rarely forget either. And that's what we're speaking about today. The challenges of moving forward and how dignity is maintained in everyday decisions, when you're navigating accusations that just won't go away. Joining us today is Solly Moeng, who's a brand reputation specialist. Solly, thank you so much for your time. Good morning. Welcome to Channel Africa.
Hello, Valisa. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you.
It's a beautiful thing, that online space, and it's true that the internet doesn't forget. We use it to our advantage, like I used, the picture example when we're looking for something that happened a long time ago. But in the
Mm.
same way, people can also look for things that you did, you say, you were accused of a long time ago, and still view you in that very same lens, even years later.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, there are two kinds of accusations. There are true accusations, and there are also fabricated accusations. I think either way, let's start with the fabricated ones. It should be easier. The thing is, we live in an era where, a lie over and over repeated becomes truth for some people. But I think it's important that you explain, that we give, don't let a lie be told about yourself without giving your side of the story. Because as you say, when people go onto the internet to look for stuff, they only find what is being said about you, irrespective of whether it's true or not. They don't find what you said in response to that. Of
Mm-hmm.
course, some people will just say, oh, he or she denied. But I think it's important to, if it's a really serious thing, just issue a short statement to say, I'm aware of this accusation. This is not true. This is exactly what happened. So that it's also out there. But be open to to freely talk about it. You don't have to be, putting it yourself into that conversation or offering the topic all the time. But when it comes up, you do need to be able to speak to it. You need to know what you're going to say to it. Now,
Mm.
if it's a serious accusation that is also very true, maybe you murdered somebody or you whatever, you also need to say what you've done to correct yourself, to correct that. Acknowledgement is important, because if you don't acknowledge something, you deny it, and it's true, then you end up with the facts being put out there because you didn't deny it. You kept saying, maybe I wasn't there, or I didn't say that. Maybe you might have been recorded. Maybe pictures of you might have been taken at doing whatever it is that you're being accused of. I think it's always best to say, you know what, I did that. That was the biggest mistake of my life. I shouldn't have, and this is what I'm doing to recover from it, to to make up for it, as it were. And obviously, it depends on the nature of what happened, because some of it could be costly. But running away in denial all the time is not always helpful. It could also be,
Mm.
some people could say, look, we live in a world of, it's a fast moving news cycle, and wow, people forget quickly, because other things keep happening. But as you say, if they search, they will find that stuff. It's best to deal with it than not to deal with it.
Yeah. Solly, we are now living in a time where we've seen the real life repercussions of your own actions, but also, other people's actions towards you on the internet. We see it quite often. In fact, these days in South Africa, we see it almost every year. they are like Miss South Africa finalists, and then people go and dig up your tweets from 10, 20 years ago, some of them when you were even a teenager, and people say you were a bully, you were a racist, you were this, that, and the other. And we've seen them leaving the competition, or even been taken out of the competition because of things that happened, sometimes as early as your teen years, which were a very, very different time, I suppose, if you've gotten much older. So yes, it is quite important to really navigate what happens with us on the internet, but we can't really have control over everything. How do we have control over accusations? Because accusations are something that come from the outside, that are accused towards you, and they're not on your timeline, but they're on everyone's timeline, but that's your name.
Yeah, if you have reason to walk with your chin up, I think you should continue walking with your chin up. Like I said, it always depends on whether it's a true accusation or it's a false accusation. But hiding away from it doesn't make it go away. And the thing is, as you say, you're going to end up, say, wanting to get into business or some kind of partnership with people in the future who get reminded of these things. These people are concerned about their own image, because their own stakeholders, their own shareholders might say, listen, you can't get involved with this person because of what happened 20 years ago or 10 years ago or whatever. So people are reputation conscious, especially when you operate with children, and maybe you're accused of molesting children, many years ago. Obviously, they don't want to say to their shareholders, we're bringing into the business somebody who was accused of molesting children, because these people have children and they are worried about what the world is going to say about them. I think it really is best to deal with this thing. The truth will always set you free. As I say, it's a pity because there's an avalanche of news all the time. People forget. You think you've said it once, but it keeps coming back. It keeps coming back. So have a ready statement. That is standard. That is true, honest, but that's not changing all the time. Or you say, good, I'm aware of X, Y, Z that is being thrown at me, and this is my story. I had a friend who went through the whole thing. Somebody I know last week. She's an artist who went through a difficult time. She couldn't deliver on all the artwork that she had promised to do. And so one of her clients from whom she had taken money already, they put it on the internet to say, don't go to this lady. She's bad. She's a liar. And she's actually not a liar. She went through a really, really difficult place. I said, look, just put it in there. I said, look, I'm aware of the accusation. I'm really, really sorry that I haven't been able to. I'm in communication directly with this person. I'm really surprised that this is appearing here. But don't be arrogant about it. There are people who are malicious, who really just want to destroy you.
Well, let's take a break. I want us to come back and look at strategies that you can take in place. I mean, not all of us are brand reputation specialists or even have links with brand reputation specialists. And so when this happens, we want to find out, do I put out a statement that I typed out on ChatGPT, or do I put it out myself? What if I don't have the right words to say the right things about these accusations? But also, how do I move forward with my life? I mean, I still have a bright career, bright future ahead of me, relationships ahead of me that I need to sort of shake this thing off that's like now a monkey on my shoulder. So we'll continue speaking to Solly Moeng, brand reputation specialist, after this break.
Africa's story shines at 60. Channel Africa.
The African perspective.
Be inspired. Stay informed. Channel Africa, the beauty of life. Now available anytime, anywhere with our new app. Are you fluent in French, Chinyanja, Portuguese, and Kiswahili? Are you passionate about radio? And are you looking to work in South Africa? Do you have papers that qualify you to work in South Africa? In that case, we might have an opportunity for you to work for Channel Africa. Send us your CV and demo at newsroom@channelafrica.co.za. Remember, if you don't hear from us within 14 days, it means you have not made it or you have not been selected. Channel Africa, the African perspective. Hashtag on the move and connect with us.
How do we navigate a world that doesn't forget, especially online, if you've had accusations towards you, and particularly if you've been cleared of all those accusations, of all wrongdoing? How then do you move forward in a world that doesn't forget, where people will continuously associate you with that particular accusation? We're continuing this one with Solly Moeng, who's a brand reputation specialist. Now, Solly, let's speak a little bit about what the steps you need to take. So now you're trying to start over, you're in a new leaf, maybe time has gone past and you're trying to navigate your own world in different ways, and people continue remembering this thing that you were accused of, even if you were cleared of the wrongdoings in that particular instance. You put out a statement about it. Do I type it on ChatGPT? Do I use AI? Do I use my own words? How do I know if I'm going to be saying the right thing?
Well, ChatGPT or artificial intelligence are tools that should be used, but they should be used carefully. We can use it to help you draft something. If you brief it, it churns out the thing for you, but you must still read the thing and be sure that it's what you really want to say. Don't just, put it out there if you're not sure that's what you want to say. You need to be truthful. The thing with putting a lie on top of something is that you're going to find yourself having to put lies over and over again to hide the previous lie, and then you get to a point where you even forgot the initial lie, and then you contradict your initial lie. So just be truthful. Just acknowledge if you've done something wrong. Acknowledge I did something wrong. It was wrong. It really was wrong, and I feel bad about it. And this is what I've done to correct that. But if it wasn't true, you also say, look, I am aware of that accusation. I have no idea where it comes from, and I don't want to get into fights that are not necessary here. I'm here for this business. I'm not for that. I've explained myself. If anyone has evidence that I did what I'm being accused of, please show it. Put it on anywhere you want, okay? Because if you know deep in your heart that there's no evidence that what you're being accused of is not true, then you can be able to walk into any room with your chin up. There will always be malicious people out there who really don't want to see you succeed, unfortunately. And some of them could be your friends who just don't like you having that thing that they don't have. But the only thing you have is your conscience. If your conscience says, I did something wrong, just acknowledge it. People really, some people at least, appreciate frank acknowledge. And when you're lying, people can pick it up. When you're not lying, they can pick it up. But you must remember that if you lie, that lie is going to continue haunting you, and one day it's going to trip you. Just deal with it, move on.
Yeah.
And if you have to repeat it in different venues, you don't have to dwell on it. There's a difference between like going on forever on it and say, listen, I'm aware of that. It's an unfortunate thing. It happened. But it's not happen. It didn't happen the way it's being said. But just be honest. There'll always be people out there who stand with you.
I've seen a strategy that some people implement, sometimes a little too soon on social media when, such things come up, the accusations and so on. And that would be like threatening people with courts and lawyers. Other than the threats themselves, when would be the right time to actually bring in the law in that situation where you continuously have to defend yourself on social media and people continue spreading, if there are lies, they continue spreading those lies about you on social media? When is the right time to sort of okay, I think I need to bring the law in now here, because I'm not going to be able to have a life with this following me and with these people being so malicious towards me online?
Yeah, I love that question. It's true that you might explain yourself as I did earlier, but if there's this one person or this group of people who keep throwing this thing into your path, then it's very clear that that one person or that group of people is being malicious. If they are there to just stop you from progressing with your life, then that's when you bring in the law. That's when you bring in somebody you don't have to put it on social media that you're going to bring laws onto them. Just bring a law onto them. Just get a lawyer to write to them to say, we are aware you're doing this, you need to desist, or else this is where we're going, and they must take action. But usually people pull back when you do that. But don't put it as a social Twitter or X discussion that I'm going to do this. Usually those are empty promises, and that divert you, that drag you into mud pits. You don't want to go into Twitter mud pits or X mud pits, because you'll never get out of there. It's whenever you can take something offline, take it offline. Otherwise, it's going to be entertainment, often at your own expense.
And after such takes place, how do you rebrand? Because I think that's something that a lot of us think about, right? This thing has been following me all my life, but whether you've done it or not, you want to be a changed person. You want to move on with your life. You still have to make money, have a career. You still have to have relationships and navigate the world like everyone else. Is rebranding even the right word here to change it up?
Well, I mean, rebranding, sometimes it works, other times if it's a person brand, I've seen some people, even today in our parliament, who've changed their names that were accused of corruption during state capture and after state capture, and suddenly they are parliamentarians, they carry different names. So that when you Google them, you're not finding that person. It's like a brand new person.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always some of us who follow these things know, no, but you that guy or you that lady, you did that. No, you suddenly called something else. But I think they rely on a lot of people not connecting the dots. Not. Many people don't care about the news. They don't. So I could come in and be John Maseko or whatever in 2 weeks' time. Some people won't even know that. I'm saying, so I think that the rebranding can work or it can also not work. I think it can be if it's done because you're trying to put a plaster on a wound that you're responsible for, people will remind you. So there are always people who will come back from the past. It's always best to be honest. But of course, if you're a company and you've gone through a lot of stuff, you don't rebrand to put a plaster on a wound. You rebrand to move to a new chapter. But it's important to always deal honestly with stuff. Spin doesn't always help. I don't do spin. Spin is what putting wounds, plasters over wounds. But reputation means just deal with a thing. You've messed up, or somebody is really trying to just be honest. Tell that and move on and change the name if you need to change the name, but it shouldn't be the first thing you do. I mean, rebranding shouldn't be the first thing you do, because then people will say, what are they doing this for? Don't do it for the wrong reasons.
I see. And once that takes place, again, the internet doesn't forget. How do you forget? I think it's also something that we haven't engaged in. Whatever the internet is doing, that's one thing. But you also need to move in a way with confidence if you're going to put something behind you, no matter what strategy you've taken. How do you move on from these accusations? How do you move on from your social media reputation and still, have a fulfilling life?
Well, if you've dealt with it as we discussed, then you continue in life. You don't bring it into every conversation. You'll see that over time there'll be less and less people who throw it at you. But don't be the first one to offer you. You've dealt with it. You know the answer. You're comfortable with the answer. If somebody throws it at you, say, guys, I've dealt with this stuff. This is what happened in the past. But just move on with your life as if that thing didn't happen. It'll die. As you generate more publicity, about yourself, that thing will be buried. A lot of people don't, unless somebody's really looking for bad stuff around you, they won't go beyond page 3 on the internet. You know what I'm saying? They'll go to the first page 1, 2, 3. Someone who's really investigating will go deeper and deeper and deeper. But average people, we live in an era of short attention spans. You know what I'm saying? I don't think people spend time looking for dirt on you unless they really, really want to destroy you. So move on, keep generating good publicity. Every brand has to be protected. Every brand has to be enhanced. 80% enhancement. Spend as much possible of your time or energy doing good things. And those good things will create sufficient goodwill around you as a brand to protect you from the bad stuff that happened in the past. But you must also have that 20%. What happens if S hits the F? It's S with so what do you mustn't, just like every brand has to have a crisis communication strategy. You too, what happens if something goes wrong and you have to communicate? You must be ready for that. You must know what you're going to do, but it doesn't mean that you spend too much of your time and energy on the negative.
We'll leave it there. Thank you so much, Solly, for your time. It's always a pleasure. That's Solly Moeng, brand reputation specialist, helping us navigate the challenges of online reputation, especially if you've been accused and recused of something online, and how that follows you for the rest of your life. It's 9:30 Central Africa time. Time for our latest sports.
Get the news, music, and lifestyle